Welcome to episode 54 of Think Big with Michael Zellner. All positive, no politics. My guest today is Shannan McWaters. Shannan is the co-founder and co-owner of The Firm, a prestigious real estate company here in Memphis, Tennessee. She is a lifetime member of the Multi-Million-Dollar Club, and out of 4,300 realtors in the city of Memphis in 2020 and 2021, she finished in the top 40 in production both years, which is just phenomenal. Welcome to the show, Shannan.
Thank you.
So tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
These are all surprise questions. I didn't have any
Yes, they are.
heads up to what they are. Without a lot of thought, this morning I spent the first part of my morning putting out my fall/Christmas pottery plates that I use, that I switch out, and listening to Patsy Cline. So I'm not sure if most people would think that I listen to Patsy Cline or have seasonal dishes.
That's very cool. So you're originally from Nashville, but not Tennessee, Nashville, Georgia. It's a small town in southern Georgia, population of just a little bit over 7,000 people. It's called the City of Dogwoods. What are some of the good memories that you have of your childhood there?
I grew up on a farm and on a dirt road. And the town at the time, and probably still, had maybe one or two red lights. It was a very slow, simple speed, which is what I live now. My first job in that town, well, I didn't live in town, but my first job was at age 11 cropping tobacco. So I have a lot of memories of just being outside and enjoying just the outdoors and friends and no technology.
Right. So I believe that you've had about 24 jobs in your lifetime, and you talked about your first job was cropping tobacco. Tell us a little bit about what you did in that job.
So every year I would want to be big enough to be able to crop tobacco. And because I would go into the fields with all the people who worked in the fields, because there were several farms around where I grew up. And I had one long name. It was Shannan Claire. And so every year I would show up, and it was like tryouts for all the people who were going to work in the field. And this machine had like a belt, and you would crop the tobacco and you'd send it up the belt. And it was a metal seat, and it had these little metal footrests, and the seat was not adjustable. So every year I'd show up and I'd say, I'm big enough, I'm big enough, I'm big enough. And I'd sit on the seat and I'd scoot down as far as I could and try to get my tippy toes. And it took me till I was about 11 before I was big enough. And so they would pick me up in the back of a truck at 7 a.m, and we would work all day. And at lunch we would go to the store, and I would get RC cola in a glass bottle and drop some peanuts down in there. No idea why. It's just what you did for my snack. And I made $100 a week, which was a ton of money for an 11-year-old, especially in South Georgia. And so I like to say that it was those tobacco fields that toughened me up.
I was about to say, I bet that starting at age 11 or 12 and doing that hard work had to make such a difference on you and the work ethic that you have today.
Well, I was the only girl, and I could hold my own with the guys. So, yes. So I've only known hard work in my life, and so I just don't know any other way.
That's awesome. You said, quote, "I had no model. I was a blank slate due to lack of guidance, and that gave me permission to do things my own way," unquote. Tell us a little bit about what that means.
I have been on my own since I was really young, 16 years old. And so I was lucky enough that families would let me live with them when I was young. And I just always had to figure out, no one taught me which fork to use. No one taught me how to speak to people. No one taught me business skills. No one taught me how to make videos. No, I just didn't have anybody saying, oh, this is what you do to build a life, or this is how you polish yourself. This is how you learn to conduct business. I didn't graduate from college, barely got out of high school. So So all of these things I just kind of had to figure out on my own, by watching others in the world around me.
So you guys moved to Memphis, I believe, in 1989 while you were still in high school. What brought your family here?
First of all, I have to figure out how you know all this about me because I didn't tell you anything. Um, my aunt and her family already lived here, and my mom, who had me at a very young age, and I have a brother. Um, she we just had a hard time making it, financially, and so we came here to live with family and to, try to figure out a way to uh, get things going again. So we left this small town, when I was in high school, and I transferred to Collierville High, my into my sophomore year, which was a little interesting to go to one very small school your whole life and then show up as a sophomore with, a very strong Southern accent, the
Right.
bright white lights, and try to figure out how to fit in. It was interesting.
That transition, I mean, from a small town to a big town, I mean, that had to be difficult, especially in high school.
I had never seen a two-story house when I moved here. Yeah, so I just was mesmerized by, and this was in 89, so it was nothing like it is now. I just couldn't believe that so many people, my house that I grew up in was probably 1,100 square feet. And so I couldn't believe that there were enough people that, had enough jobs to generate enough money to have houses that were two-story.
Talk about coming full circle from never seeing a two-story house to selling a bunch of them every month.
That is, I think of it often.
That's great. So you're about 17 years old when you get your first automobile. It's a 1991 Ford EXP that has no back seat and an 8-track player. Windows are tinted. It was so dark that you had to roll down the windows at night just to see out. That must have been some fun ride there, Shannan.
Um, it was freedom for me. It was not a hot car by any means. And anybody that would ride in my car with me would just shake their head the whole time, like, what is happening here? But it gave me the chance to be able to drive to work. I had, more than one job, when I was in high school, and it gave me the chance to be free. And, I wish I still had that car because it was the first sign of independence for me, of true independence.
So you used to own your own boutique in Collierville. How did you get into that business?
Like I've gotten into every business or every job, I usually have no idea what I'm doing, and I think this feels like it's for me. And for a brief time, that was for me. And so I just decided I was going to study and learn and, just absorb any piece of information I could about the buying industry, about owning a boutique, on how to go to market, on how many pieces to order. When I decided to open a boutique, I didn't know what a 1 2 2 1 is. And, I just kind of fake it till I make it a lot of times. And so I learned that you order certain sizes based on your clientele, and this is how much inventory you need at all times. And, um, anyway, so I had a little boutique in Collierville, and, the first year, I had a business plan down and what I thought I would sell. And within the first 3 months, I sold 3 times the amount I thought I would sell for the whole year. And I was scrambling to get more inventory. So there was a need for a certain type of product, and it was in Collierville. And I kind of tapped into it. And then, 2005, 6, 7 came along, and people stopped buying $250, jeans
Right.
and $150 shirts. And so I had to regroup quickly. And while I was trying to keep my boutique afloat, a friend of mine had bought a flooring store and said, why don't you sell flooring on the side? And I said, well, because that's exactly what every little girl wants to do, is sell carpet, tile, and hardwood. And I had no idea how to do that. And so I knew colors and I knew what looked good. And so I walked into a meeting with a builder, who had 75 houses going. And knowing nothing about the flooring industry, I got a quick tutorial on hardwood, like what is sand and finish, what is glue down. And I was just going in to try to get the hardwood flooring account. And, they said, okay, and I said, I'll pick all your colors for everything else. And this, I took some little boards. This is what I think a house should look like. And they said, okay, great, we're on board. Sign us up. And we'd also like for you to, be in charge of the carpet and the tile. What is your, what's your carpet price, per yard? And I said, I'm just go to the bathroom really quickly, and, I'll be right back. And I went in the bathroom and I called my Shaw rep, George, and I was like, George, and I'll leave out all the expletives. What is a yard of carpet and how much does it cost? And he said, why? And I said, this builder is giving me 75 houses and I don't know what to tell him. And he said, just tell him it's $18 a yard. I'll fill you in later. And he's like, how are you doing this? I said, I don't know. So I came back out and I said, it's about $18 a yard, but we can work something out. And they said, okay, great. Well, we want you to start right away. And so I left and went to Dalton, Georgia, to Mohawk University. And then I learned everything I could possibly learn about flooring. No clue what I was doing there. The economy did not allow me to keep my boutique open. So I closed that and sold flooring for a living. And that's kind of how I transitioned into real estate as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, when you were doing the flooring, I think it was 2009 that you started in the flooring. So you have that boutique business that you had, and so that gave you some experience and and stuff for people's homes, and the flooring for people's homes, and then the 75 homes in the account. That had to just open so many doors for you just to jump into real estate.
It did. It helped me learn what goes on in a new construction house. It helped me learn. I do a lot of new construction now. It helped me learn the pressure on builders and their timelines and how many things have to line up to get floors installed, to have cabinets in, to when the lighting can go in, so it just helped me learn that overall process. And then I got to practice making selections, which I use every day with my new construction, with clients wanting to change homes they buy, with preparing to list. And I can walk in and I can still use a tape measure. I don't use the electronic or the laser. I put a tape on the floor and have a trick with my foot, and I can measure it out and say it cost about this much to replace the carpet. I think it's a really good idea. So that definitely helped me be more comfortable in this industry. And a few of the builders that I worked with in their neighborhoods when I was selling flooring, I eventually transitioned into selling their homes.
So talk about the power of a moment, the power of that time of getting into where you got 75 homes and that day, how it led to so many greater things that happened in your life. It's awesome. Synchronicity.
Yeah, for sure.
So you said, quote, here's to recognizing that no matter how good or bad a day or circumstance might be, it will always change. Just hanging on tight during the hard stuff over here and throwing my hands above my head on the downhill roller coaster. Lord knows we all are in need of more of those kind of days. People are not usually what you see from the outside, so be kind. I'm grateful for times people show me love and grace, even when I don't deserve it, unquote. What has being kind and grateful done for you in life?
Well, I think as human beings, we are very reciprocal. And I think you start a beautiful chain of interactions when you are grateful for the people in your life, and you come up with ways to show others kindness, because then it just comes back to you tenfold. My life has been a series of kindnesses that I can't even comprehend, from the families that have let me live with them when I didn't have a place to go, to people that have trusted me with their business, to my business partners, to my office manager who is in charge of pretty much everything I do and helps us all running smoothly. Just kindnesses. People sending flowers on a day when they had no idea how bad you needed it. And when people are kind to you, it opens your eyes, and then you want to share those similar kindnesses with other people, and you can see a need. And so you cook a meal and you take it. And if you operate from that place in your life, it's kind of hard to feel sorry for yourself ever, no matter what's going on, because you can always look around and say, I have so much to be grateful for, and so many people that are here if I need them.
So you were doing well in real estate, but you wanted to take it to another level. So in 2016, you started making these really creative and entertaining real estate videos. I have a big marketing, branding, and sales background. I have to tell you, they are some of the best promotional videos I've seen. They're memorable. They make me laugh, which is huge. Now there's a lot of people doing videos for the business. 6 years later, apps like TikTok, we're just getting started back, in 2016 when you were doing those. What gave you that idea?
I had a house in Kirby Woods that had a pool, which is not always common. And so I said, I really want to market this pool because it's the selling point of this house. The house is good and it's okay, but it's the pool. And so I asked around a lot of veteran realtors and I said, hey, how do you put this out there? We didn't have videos. We just didn't have tools like we do now to be in everybody's face all the time. And we weren't doing a lot of video tours of homes. That wasn't even happening at the time. It's hard to go back and remember what was going on then. It's so different than it is now. Facebook and Instagram we were all just posting pictures really on Instagram. And so I sound like a grandma, but it's the truth. And so all the veteran realtors said, oh, I've got a little trick for you. And at the time it wasn't even allowed. When you list your house, you can just slide the picture of the pool in as the first exterior photo, even though you're not supposed to. You might get away with it, and you should try that. And I was like, that's it. That's all we have. I can, try to not get caught using a picture of the pool as my first photo. And so I recruited two of my girlfriends, really good friends, to go to this house. And what they didn't know is it was the first day of April, which is still pretty cool temperature wise. And this pool had been painted. So they had drained it and just filled it with fresh, cold water. And I talked them into shooting a video with me where we pretended to sneak in the backyard, and I jumped over the fence and let them in. And then we all one at a time jumped into the pool with fully clothed, but jumped into the pool, and it got the message across. And that 2 days later, after it was actually the same afternoon, I had posted the video to Facebook, because I don't even know if you could do it to Instagram at the time. And there was a conference here in town. And this just speaks to the community of realtors that we have here. I went down to this conference, and by all practical sentiments, all of these agents that I'm running into at this conference are competitors of mine. We work for different companies. We are all trying to list houses and find buyers. And I walk in, and everybody's kind of standing around, and everybody just started laughing and saying, oh my gosh, what was that? That I didn't know what the response would be, but they were so supportive and said, that's the funniest thing. That is something different. What made you think of that? It was just such love and support and encouragement. And I could feel from the response from my peers that I had tapped into something that could be very important for my business.
Over the last few years, I think you've been working some with my old friend Twitch, John Arroyo.
Yeah.
How did that get started with him?
We were starting our company, The Firm, and we wanted something different. I make all my own videos. I film them on my phone. I edit them on my phone. I've had a lot of different ways I've done it over the years, but I've always done my own thing. And I knew for what we wanted to release to launch our company, that we were making a statement in our own minds, maybe not to anybody else, but to us. And Katrina, one of my partners, knew John and said, we should talk to this guy. Cause I said, we need somebody besides me and my homemade videos. And he came in, and we told him what we wanted, and he pitched us something back, and we said, no. And then he very quickly said, oh, okay, I get it. And he gave us exactly what we were looking for. And so I still make most of my own videos, but he has been so helpful. Like, he has tools that I can't even touch. We did a drone footage that looked like 360 Earth recently. That was it's one of my favorite ones I've ever done. And I spend hours and hours and hours and hours editing when I do videos. They look like silly videos that you just threw together, but a 1-minute video takes several hours to put together. And so when I have John come in and help me, he obviously is like a master at this, and he can knock it out and send it back over to me in just a very short period of time. So he's great to collaborate with. He can do things I can't. And then he can send me clips, and I can incorporate it into my own videos that I'm making. It's helped me spread my wings a little bit in what I'm able to do, and to have somebody that I can say, this is what is in my head. Like, we just did this one for Miss Mississippi that Dane Williams had given me a sash a year ago when I got my Mississippi license. He's like, you're going to be Miss Mississippi. And I'm like, oh, there's a video in there somewhere. So I wanted John to help me with it. And he comes out and I'm in this big giant prom dress and I'm in a sash and a tiara, and he just kind of shakes his head. He's like, "What's your vision?" And I tell him, and he just gets it exactly. And it's for somebody to be able to take what's in my head and translate it to video is a gift. And John is one of the few people that has ever been able to do that, that I could turn it over to.
Wonderful. So do you still cut all the hoods to your sweatshirts?
I don't buy sweatshirts that have hoods anymore. I can't. They make me crazy. Where is that piece of information?
I found it.
Oh my gosh.
Quote, Shannan made it very easy and enjoyable. I've never seen someone so motivated and energetic about their job. From the moment we met her, we could tell that she loves what she does. Not only is Shannan a high caliber realtor, she's even a better person. We were so lucky to have worked with her, unquote. Mike and Krista Mikowski said that about you. That must make you feel really good when you hear things like that from people that you help, to buy a home. Where does all that motivation inside of you come from?
It took me a long time to tap in to figure out the source of my motivation, because I am motivated and I have way too much energy. My kids sometimes say it's like spending time with a mosquito on amphetamines. I don't think that's a compliment. But I used to think, oh, it's because I love my job so much and I'm helping people get to their place they call home and I'm touching their lives and I'm making a difference. And I even believed my own little spiel for a really long time. And I guess in about 2016, 2017, there was a lot going on in my life. And I was listening to a book and the guy was talking about trying to sell real estate, and it was Ryan Serhant, and he talked about striking out time after time after time. And he walked into a store because he was starving and he wanted to buy a cup of yogurt with granola on the top, and he ran his credit card and he couldn't afford it. And he said, at that moment, I knew. Everybody says, "What's your why? What's your why?" He said, my why is that I didn't want to be poor, that I didn't want to be without money, that I didn't want to worry if I was going to be able to pay my rent. And it caused me to stop. And I was driving down the road because I listened to Audible books, and I had to pull over and process this for a second. And I said, my why is not some flowery pie in the sky, beautiful moment of, opening the door and the, heaven shining down. It's because I grew up poor and from a place of scarcity. And it doesn't matter what I'm ever doing, what I'm ever selling, I will always assume it could be gone tomorrow. And so I operate from that space. And so I work hard and I'm a pleaser. I don't want to disappoint people. If I get a contract in my inbox at 11 o'clock at night and you're up, I'm sending it to you and we're going to talk about it. It's one of the biggest things that we do. And I need my home to feel safe and secure. And it's more about me. I would like to think I'm so unselfish. I just do this because I love people, but it's not. We're all meeting our own needs. And we work for a lot of reasons, but mine is I am driven to always take care of myself. And so I just never want to be in a position where I don't have a place to live, because I've been in that position in my life more the times than I would like to count. I've technically been homeless in my life, and I never want that. And so I guess I tap into that fear of my own. And so I feel the urgency when someone else is buying a house. Although if you list your house and you're buying another one, literally there's no time in the process. You're probably going to have to sleep in your car. So I get it, like logically, but most of the things that we do and our habits and our traits aren't from logical places. They're from deep early childhood. And it has served me well in the last several years to get a hold of what drives me and know what that is, so that I can use it to power me and not let it debilitate me.
I've heard so many times over the years, and I've been in sales a long time, people say, "Oh, I want to get into real estate." I think that, and sometimes in people's mind, they think, how hard is it to sell a house? How hard is it to do that? I'm thinking, you just have no idea, because I have a lot of friends that are real estate agents, and they say it takes dedication, hard work, determination. I mean, everything to put into it. So, I mean, it's a lot different from what people think, just isn't it?
It is. The thing I hear, and I train a lot of agents, and mentoring is kind of my hobby, I guess you'd say. And a lot of people, when they get into real estate, they say, well, I want to be able to make my own schedule. And that's the most laughable thing. Every single day of my life, my schedule, I am not in control of it. And I know people say, oh, do time blocking, only take calls after certain times. And if you're reaching this message after 7 p.m., I will call you back the next business day. If you're going to do well in this business, that does not apply. You have to jump at the needs of your clients. You have to show houses when they're available. You have to write offers when it's there. We have seen such a big swing in the market, pre-COVID, COVID, and now we're moving into a different realm as well. COVID agents, I like to call them, people who got started in the middle of COVID, they might say what you just said. Oh, it's so easy to sell a house, because there have been plenty of products. You could plop a sign in the ground and really have no idea what you're doing and get that house sold. That's not the case right now. You may not sell a house in the week over a weekend. It's going to take the agents who have the experience, or if you're a newer agent, you're working with someone who can teach you how to work repairs, how to market a home for more than 3 days. Sometimes our listing agreements are typically for 6 months, because there have been occasions where a 6-month agreement is not long enough. There are going to be a lot of people who aren't sure really what's happening over the next month or two. I welcome this type of market. It's what I'm used to. It's what I'm comfortable with. It's where I can show my worth to my clients with what I'm willing to do. The agents at our company, we're all built the same way. We like the hard work. We like to add value and service to our clients, and we do that in a market like this. It's not easy. Sometimes you have a little extra free time and you can pick your kids up and you can go to the Halloween party and you can do all the things. And sometimes you're missing important events. You're canceling lunches and dinners, and you're up late on your computer and you don't sleep as much as you'd like. And an 18-hour day is not unheard of. They're not all 18-hour days, but you don't get to pick when it's an 18-hour day. It could be when you're the most tired, when you don't feel well, when your kid is sick. I helped one of my agents last night write a contract, and she's still learning, and she had a sick kid at home that was hanging on her leg, and she was tired and they hadn't slept. And she said, oh, get into real estate. They said, it'll be easy. They said, and that's reality. It's not easy. But I'm glad it's not easy, because if it was, everybody would do it and everybody would do well. And I wouldn't have a job.
That's the biggest thing that I've heard over the years. What you just said is, oh, I want to get into it because I'll have so much flexibility of time. I'll be able to set my own schedule, and all that. I'm thinking to myself, right, it's not going to work that way, because if you think that way and they call you and they don't get a hold of you, maybe once or twice, they're moving on, aren't they?
Oh, I'm married to my phone. I always have it. I got a new Apple Watch, so that if I'm not actually physically looking at my phone, I can look at my arm. And if I'm your realtor, that is like a really good thing. If you know me personally, it's pretty annoying. But it's true. Especially in the market we've had, like it'll kill a deal, and you have to be responsive. You have to act quickly. I think the agents who do the best, our top producers, we all function to some degree the same way.
I love this quote of yours: choose empathy over opinion and you just might change your life, unquote. It's obvious that you generally, care about people and working and helping them, to become successful, and your clients too, don't you?
Yeah, I really do. I am very relationship driven. I am very connection driven. When I work with somebody and we go through the process of selling a house or buying a house, I just collect people along the way, because you go through this experience with them. You see them at their worst, you see them at their best, their happiest, they're mad, they're frustrated, and you connect with each other. it's hard not to form relationships when you go through this process with someone, even people that in the real world you probably wouldn't be friends with, because you wouldn't have sought each other out. You don't run in the same circles, but you go through something like this and it binds you together, to get people to that next place. While it's not the whole reason I do what I do, it is very satisfying to me. To get those texts on Thanksgiving and Christmas morning, and where people are with their families and they're in their house, or they put a pool in, or they redid the landscaping. And in some of their most intimate moments that they think about me. I'm not an emotional person. I'm not a big crybaby, but if anything's going to kind of get my eyes a little watery, it's when people include me in those big moments down the road 5 years later, because I went through that experience with them. I think it's because I am a truly empathetic person. Sometimes that's not a good thing, because you can't exercise any form of detachment if you are truly an empath. So that's probably one of my greatest strengths, but it's also probably one of my biggest weaknesses sometimes.
You worked as an agent with McWaters and Associates for, I believe, close to 12 years. And in July of 2021, you opened up your own agency, The Firm. What was that like for you?
It was, it's still pretty surreal. The people at the firm, we are very close, and we are like a family. There are a few of us that work at McWaters, and now we're at the firm together. And it was a very quick process from the time we said, let's have a company, let's call it The Firm. We were open within 6 weeks. I had a great foundation from McWaters and Associates. I learned everything that got me to that point. And starting the firm is something that I always felt deep down in me was there. I just didn't know what it would look like. I had started 2 businesses before, and like a lot of people that start companies and businesses, by the time you hear about the business that's doing well and successful, there were 5, 6, 7, 8 different businesses that came before, that you kind of learned your way. And so finally being in this place at 48 years old, and with this company and the people that are under that roof, I have finally had the moments where I say, this is it. This is it. Like, okay, it's all clicking now, from the flooring, from the boutique, from the being able to work hard as a young kid, in South Georgia. It's all led to this moment. Kate, that runs our office, from the moment we started the firm, and anytime anything comes up, even hard things, she just very knowingly will stop, and she will remind me, because we say it over and over, it's bigger than us. It's bigger than us. And a lot of people may laugh at that about selling real estate. But whatever you do in life, you should do it with every ounce of passion in your being, if you want to be happy and you want to be successful. If you're in a job or in a place where you don't get up every day and say, I can't believe I get to do this, you're probably not the best in your field. And everybody that walks through the doors of that company every single day, we all feel the same way. Like, we pinch ourselves. We can't believe we get to do it. And we can't believe we get to do it together. It doesn't feel like real life a lot of times.
Quote, I think the most important thing we can be is open to beauty, open to sorrow, open to familiarity, open to change, open to joy, and open to pain. The last year of my life has taught me not to be attached to the outcome. Enjoy the moment you're given right now, while remaining open to the one that's right around the corner. Opening your mind and your heart is ultimately the only thing can set your soul free, unquote. You said those wonderful words just a few weeks ago. How important has it been for you to live in the moment and continue looking forward to even better days?
That is my only option. I've had, in my personal life, a lot of things going on over the last year or two. And if I got stuck in those hard places, I wouldn't get out of bed. And over the last 12 months, I've had days that I actually did not get out of bed. And that's not what the world sees. And that's not what the world wants to see. And that's not what we project all the time. In brief moments, I do try to be transparent and say, this life is hard, and it's not all shiny, and it's not what everybody puts out there for the world to see all the time. We all have really, really hard things that happen. And if you get so focused on the bad that's right in front of you, you can't then start to put a plan together for the good. So you just have to be open. And like, I'm not Buddhist, but a Buddhist theory is, if it comes, let it come. And if it goes, let it go. And so if I'm not attached to the outcome of what I think this has to be, what comes my way, whether it's a deal, it's a friendship, it's a relationship, it's an illness. I don't know what's going on with my computer.
It's
It
okay.
keeps dinging. If it's an illness, if it's a hard time, if it's, in the same token, if it's a happy moment, if it's a victory, if it's a joy, if you're so stuck in one place, you can't transition to the next thing. If I'm so focused on sadness and despair and there's happiness right outside my window, I'm going to miss it. There could be happiness in the grocery store line next to me, someone that could offer something to my life. And I'm so focused on what's screwed up about my day or my life, I miss this beauty. In the same token, if I am operating in a happy space and I get stuck there and I say, phew, I conquered it all. Now, finally, it's easy living for me. This is going to be, totally how the rest of my life is. And a bad time comes, you're not going to be able to adapt. You're not going to be able to find solutions because you're going to be devastated that now you thought everything was going to be good from here on out. Life is always going to be cyclical. You're going to have peaks and valleys, and you just have to hang on in the really good moments. And when it's really bad, say, this is bad, acknowledge it. It's bad. Let it come, absorb the bad, be sad, cry, be angry, and then let it go and say, what's next? Hopefully it's not another bad thing. Hopefully the next thing that's coming is a celebration. And so it just allows you to move from one thing to the next if you're not so hung up on, this is the way it is. There's no other future for me other than this moment right now.
I mentioned earlier that you finished in the top 40 in real estate sales in Memphis in both 2020 and 2021. In referring to 2021, you said, quote, 4,300 agents, number 37. Yeah, I'll take it. Still can't believe this is called work. I wake up every day with fire running through my veins because I love this job so much. I love who I work for. I love who I work with. Literally, how does it get better than this? I'm thinking 2022 is going to be nothing but goodness, unquote. In the last 5 years, Shannan, I believe you've averaged about $20 million in sales each year, which is just incredible. And then you also said, my job is fun, the end, unquote. To me, you're a great example of someone who takes what they do seriously, but they don't take themselves too seriously. And I believe that's one of the things that's helped you to become very successful at what you do. What do you think?
Yeah, I am the first person to laugh at myself. And I think being willing to do that, and even the silly videos that I make, I don't always look the youngest and the prettiest and the skinniest and the smartest, and that's okay. I had to really overcome the picture of myself in my mind that I want to be and that I should be and that I think other people think about me. I just had to throw all that away and say, it's better to just be authentic and put yourself out there, even if it's not always polished and shiny, because people relate to that. We are all imperfect. And when people see that you're willing to share and be transparent about your own failures, your own imperfections, your own struggles, your own battles, it gives them permission to kind of exhale with you a little bit and say, I don't have to be some alternate fake version of myself. I can just go through this friendship, relationship process, whatever it is, as myself. I think that's freeing. I know when I'm around people that are like that, it's addicting. You want more of it. And so I try as often as possible to just say, I'm me. I wish I could be everything that everybody expects, but I'm not. I'm just me. And I'm willing to let people see what that looks like.
A client of yours, Betty Huff, said this of you, quote, working with Shannan was just such an incredible pleasure. She establishes an immediate relationship of professionalism and trust I find necessary to relieve some of the anxiety in selling a home. I've worked with several real estate agents across the country in my many career moves, and she ranks at the top. I highly recommend her, unquote. Building that strong bond, at the very beginning with a home buyer or a home seller is extremely important, isn't it?
It is. And Betty Huff, whoa, that was a long time ago. How I met Betty, I mean, this must be 10 years ago. I put a letter in her mailbox along with all of her neighbors. I mailed it. I didn't break the law. I mailed it and said, and it was the truth. I had a client who wanted to be in her particular neighborhood. And she called me up and said, come see my house. And she was a professor at the University of Memphis, very educated, very smart. And very cerebral. And so I go and I meet her and I said, okay, well, this is probably not going to work for my clients. I appreciate you letting me come and see it. And we talked for 20 minutes and she called me back 6 months later and she said, I'd like for you to come and sell my house. And so I went and met with her and we established a connection. We are two different people she'd never spent a day of her life in a tobacco field. And I never have spoken to an auditorium of, students. And so there's nothing similar about us, but through the process of wanting to get her to the next place, we connected, we bonded. In normal day-to-day application, I would probably get on her ever last nerve. But that same energy and enthusiasm and passion for what I do, she appreciated through selling her house. And I haven't talked to her. She moved away. I don't know what she's doing anymore. She's one of the few people that I don't still stay in contact with, but I can still see her plain as day. And we had coffee standing in her kitchen. And we sat on her back porch after she closed and had a glass of wine. And I'll never forget Betty Huff ever a day in my life because we really, truly connected.
I bet that 20 minutes that you spent with her the first time when you said, this isn't going to work for my client, but you spend another 20 minutes with her. I bet that made such a huge impression that made her make that phone call 6 months later.
I don't know, maybe. And I don't have a sales pitch. And I don't remember what we talked about in that 20 minutes. I am very curious. And so if I get a chance to talk to somebody I don't know, I like to know everything about what they're doing. Like, how did you end up a professor? And why does your husband live in another state? Like, I just have all these questions and I don't know. So I think we just probably got to know each other in that 20 minutes. I know we weren't talking about work or about real estate. We were just getting to know each other.
Yeah, just the way you describe that, you probably made her feel very comfortable. You took an interest in her, and that made her feel good, and so that led to obviously, her reaching back out to you. Probably at least one of the reasons that she did, which is awesome. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you have a close friend of yours, Abby Garner-Meese, who's gone through breast cancer. You said, quote, Abby Garner-Meese, you are the one person I know that truly lives life to the fullest. You have made your battle with breast cancer another example of how you can literally make the sun shine on even the darkest day. You love all people. No one will ever be without if you have anything to do with it. Thank you for all the infinite amount of light and love you bring into the world, unquote. Tell us a little bit about your friend, Abby.
All right. You're going to make me cry on a Sunday morning. So Abby, everybody knows Abby. I don't really, anybody listening to this is going to know Abby. So what can you say? Like, she is the funniest, craziest, wackiest, full of life. I mean, if Abby shows up, everybody's going to be laughing. It's a party. She just brings sunshine to the world. And you can't not be happy if you're around Abby Meese. It's not possible.
You didn't have breast cancer. However, you've had some health issues over the last year or so. You said, quote, F you cancer. I just flipped the switch on you. Oftentimes you slink in the back door. By the time we noticed you, it's too late. Not this time. I saw you coming. Tell us a little bit about what you discovered and what you had to do to protect yourself from getting breast cancer and ovarian cancers in the future.
Yes, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It is a month that is special to me. I feel very lucky and very fortunate. I guess about 4 years ago, 4 years ago, I had a doctor who suggested that I do genetic testing because I had some issues going on. And she said, let's do some genetic testing on you. Because if you have BRCA1 or BRCA2, we're probably going to need to do a hysterectomy and surgery is a good option for you because of the problems you're having, but you're really too young for that. So I don't want to do that if it's not necessary. So we do the myriad testing through my OBGYN. You can also do it with a genetic counselor at Baptist or at West Cancer. I think there's only a couple here in the city. And I'll never forget it. It was in December, pretty close to Christmas. And she and I kept playing phone tag, and she was calling with my results. And I knew because she wouldn't upload it into the portal, and she kept trying to get me. And when I finally called back the last time, they said, hold on, we have this call marked as an emergency call. We're going to go get Dr. Bannister out of her clinic. And I was like, okay, this does not sound good. And I was driving down to pick out some countertops in Mississippi. And there was a big gravel open area. And I literally had to pull over in the gravel because she said, Shannan, you don't have BRCA1 or 2. You have something called PALB2. And you also have another gene mutation, RAD51C. Nobody knows anything about that one, but the PALB2 is pretty scary. It's pretty nasty, and it's only 10 years old. So there's not a lot of information. I can't help you. And I don't know anybody here who can help you. You're going to have to go to MD Anderson to see what all comes with this mutation. I went to MD Anderson for a year and a half, and then COVID hit, and they helped connect me with somebody at West Cancer here, and then also with my OBGYN, and then a GI. So I was at risk for breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and that mutation can also carry a risk for pancreatic cancer. With a family history, it's a very high risk, and you have to do very invasive testing where they put you to sleep for 3 days, and they go in and they do lots of biopsies if necessary. Sometimes they go ahead and take the tail of your pancreas. It's if you have family history, you're at extremely high risk. But I didn't know my family history because I'd never met or didn't even know the name of my biological father. So I hired a detective and a genealogist. We found my biological father. I called him up. Hi, congratulations, it's a girl. I just need to know one thing. I don't want to come to Thanksgiving. I just need to know, does anybody in your family have pancreatic cancer? He said, no. I said, thank you very much. He said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, I can't really talk about this right now, but thank you for the information. And so I went back to MD Anderson, and they said, okay, well, now your risk is about the same as someone who smokes or is overweight. So we'll monitor it. We'll do some initial MRIs, but for the most part, you don't have to do this crazy testing. They put me in the high risk program at West Cancer Center. And every 6 months I had to have an MRI, ultrasound, and a 3D mammogram. And every single time, and I was at the time, 80% risk of breast cancer, and a similar risk for ovarian cancer. And every time I would walk through those doors, and they've got the big West Cancer, and they got a food truck outside, and you walk through and you see the people that are battling cancer, and you lay in those machines for hours. And I'm thinking, okay, is this it? Is this, and you get the phone call 24 hours later, hopefully to say, okay, this wasn't your turn. But that phone rings, and your whole life and children's faces flash before your eyes. And it's a very scary thing. And left and right, you're hearing of people with cancer. And I was at risk for triple negative breast cancer. And so in July, probably June, right before we opened the firm, I went for my visit, and my doctor there said, okay, it's time. Like, there's another study that just came out with the other mutation you have, and it also puts you at high risk for breast and ovarian cancer. You need a hysterectomy. You can't do that because then you can't be treated with any hormones because you're at such high risk for breast cancer. So you need a double mastectomy. And I said, I can't do that right now. I'm going through a divorce. I'm starting a company. I've moved. I don't even know where my forks are, like my house. Like, I can't, I have older children, but who's going to take me to surgery? Who's going to help me after surgery? And who's going to help me with my work? And he just looked at me and he said, you're at such high risk. It's not a matter of if you get breast cancer, it's when. And the type of cancer that you're at risk for, not everybody makes it. He said, you may not make it. And who's going to drive you to chemo? And who's going to run your business when you're sick? He said, this is a drop in the bucket compared to what getting breast cancer would be like. He said, and the problem with triple negative is without us knowing it, it can seed very quickly to your brain, to your lungs, to your liver, to your appendix. He said, this is no joke. He said, you are being reckless if you don't do this surgery. And I just sat there and I said, okay, let's pick a date. And so we picked January 3rd. And I was very lucky that I was able to do reconstruction. I was able to do it all in one big surgery. A lot of people can't do that. I'm in a Facebook group with people with this gene mutation. You actually have to prove your mutation to be in this group. And to this day, I don't know why, I still go back and I read posts from women who they couldn't even have reconstruction because their chests were so marred from scars and radiation, and they don't even have that option. And that now they have cancer in their appendix that shot out from the triple negative breast cancer. And every day talking about gratitude earlier, I'm so grateful that my doctor said, get genetic testing, because I was spared. I didn't have to go through those things. Then in May, I had a full hysterectomy because ovarian cancer is very silent. By the time you have symptoms, a lot of times it's too late. There's not enough screening for that to be able to detect it early. So my daughter, she's 24, and we decided that she would get genetic testing, and she even has BRCA on her father's side, or a history of breast cancer. I think her grandmother on that side may have BRCA, but and she has no gene mutations, and it was a huge relief. But if she had that mutation, she would have started screening early. And there are a lot of people who get breast cancer in their late 20s. It's not an older woman's disease anymore. So going through that process, I'm so sensitive to anybody. Like when Abby, my friend Abby, had breast cancer, I already knew I had the mutation. I had not shared it with anybody, but watching somebody that I knew so well, that I identified with, that found out she had to make decisions in an emergent type fashion because she was faced with it all out of the blue. I had the gift of slowly making the decision. And there are so many things in medicine now that, I mean, I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but plastic surgery now is amazing, and you could come out better than before. I'm not promoting a double mastectomy with reconstruction, but there are benefits on the other side that some people can appreciate, but it's a hard surgery. And I had to have a follow-up surgery after that. It's not easy. But I am so grateful that I knew that there was a way to avoid having breast cancer. I have another friend that our kids go to school together, and she found out in August, right when I had already scheduled my surgery, that she had breast cancer. And we weren't friends before, but we became instant friends going through that process. And I watched her. Cancer just levels you. There's no way you can get that news and just be okay. It is a hard thing. And so I have been public about my journey. And the reason is after I made that post, which was embarrassing and hard, and I didn't want people to know what I had to do to my body to be able to live my life the way I wanted to. But I'm glad I did it because so many people reached out. Well, I have had breast cancer. My mom had it. Where do you get genetic testing? And there were 2 or 3 people that discovered mutations that probably could save their life or save a lot of pain and sickness. They have had, and their parents have had cancer, and so they got their kids tested. So just creating awareness is the reason I shared my journey, because if just by me being transparent about it, one person discovers a way to beat cancer, then it was worth it.
Absolutely. You said, quote, if my body is out, my mind is out. If my body is strong, my mind will always be stronger, unquote. Tell us what that means for you.
Exercise has always been a big part of my life, a really big part. And I go pretty strong and hard with work, with exercise, with friendships, with whatever I'm doing. It's 1,000%. I blew a disc in my neck in 2018 and lost the ability to work out like I wanted to. I've torn my ACL twice. I lost the ability to play tennis like I would want to. So I wasn't able to work out for a while. And then I started gradually walking, and starting to get things back together, after ACL and spine surgery. And then I had the double mastectomy and reconstruction, and I was out again. And then I had a hysterectomy 5 months later, and I was out again. And then I had to have another surgery to correct some things in August, and I was out again. So I've spent the last year of my life having little glimpses of my former self. Like I can get back on a routine and I can start working out. And then, if I'm being honest, I feel like I'm stripped of it again. And it's a hard place to be. Sometimes it's a dark place to be. If exercise and being strong is a part of your life, when that's taken away from you, it messes with your mind. And so I just had another surgery in August. And so now here I am again, rebuilding, starting over, starting from scratch. And it's tiresome sometimes. It's hard to stay motivated. But I know in the long run, if I stick with it and I build my body back and I'm strong, it doesn't have anything to do with being skinny or anything like that. It's just being strong. I know that my mind follows suit. And so I went for a walk yesterday and the day before, and I did a few squats and lunges the day before that, which is the first time I've really done anything since my last surgery. And already it changed the composition of my brain. Like I can feel it happening. And so it's a busy life and it's hard to work that in. And sometimes the only time I can do it is at 4:45, but I know the benefits of it. And so I'll get up again tomorrow and I'll try again. And because I know it's going to create a different mental state for me.
I mean, you didn't just tear your ACL. I believe you had like 3 knee surgeries in 1 year about 10 years ago. And you didn't just play tennis, you were competitive. I think you played in the USTAs, you played tournaments. I mean, you really were just a super competitive athlete.
Yeah, I did. I went to nationals and sectionals. And my last year I was on 10 different teams. I played mixed, I played singles, I played doubles. Again, when I do things, I'm kind of all in. And it was a big part of my life. A lot of my friendships to this day are still from tennis. And if I were a negative person, I would say I was robbed of that part of my life. I tore my ACL again a couple of years ago, jumping off of a porch, making a stupid video. Now I just said, I just don't get to have an ACL. Those are opportunities to become angry and to become bitter and to say, why does everybody else get to do this and I don't? And it's not fair. And, there is a chance there to become not the person I want to be. By being sad or being jealous that other people still get to continue when my life just stopped in that area. That doesn't serve me well though. So I switched to go into Orange Theory, and then I hurt my neck, so I couldn't do that. So now it's like you run at a pace and you build this life, and sometimes the rug gets snatched out from under you. It's happened to me with fitness. It's happened to me with my life period as a whole in the last 12 months. And you just have to keep moving forward. You have to see what's next. You have to come up with a different way to do things. So now I'm okay. I'll walk, I'll do squats and lunges. I'll do what I physically can do until I can do more. And that's the same thing with my personal life. I just do what I can do until I can do more. And I'm not perfect and I don't have it all figured out, but every single day I listen to podcasts. I listen to Audible books. I read things. I ask questions to other people who have had struggles. And every day I'm trying to come up with a new way to be better, to be stronger, to contribute more, to be somebody that my kids are proud of. But every day it's a mindset. You have to wake up and fire yourself up every single day. There's the movie American Beauty with Annette Bening, and she's a realtor in that. And I all the time think of the scene where she's going to do the open house and she goes in and she doesn't want to mess up her pretty outfit. So she strips down to like her underclothes and she's squeegeeing the door and she's squeegeeing the door. She's like, I will sell this house today. I will sell this house today. And then she like slaps herself in the face and so, like trying to get motivated and talk herself out of being a baby. And she's like, you baby. Some days I wake up and I feel like that. And you're like, you do feel sorry for yourself sometimes, but you got to smack yourself around a little bit and say it can always be harder and it can always be worse. And you just got to get up and do the best you can.
You obviously have a lot of special people in your life and you're surrounded, by a lot of them. And one of them is your good friend, Cassandra. You said of her, this quote, this little girl from South Memphis grew up to be the 2021 MAR president. It's MAAR. Is it pronounced MAR?
Mhm.
Congratulations to my friend Cassandra Bell Warren. I love you. Unquote. Tell us a little bit about your special friendship together.
So what you really should do is get her to tell you about our special friendship. I watched her for several years before probably 2 or 3 years. I would go to events, she would speak, I would watch her. She's so at ease in front of a crowd. When she talks to you, you're the only person in the room, even if there's 500 people in the room. She's real. She does not pretend to be somebody she's not. And at the time, I did not have any close friends in my life that didn't look like me, that didn't live in my same neighborhood, that didn't go to my same church. And so I approached Cassandra and I said, okay, we're different. I'm white, you're black. I need to practice what I preach. I really feel strongly about we are all people and we all have a heart and we all come from the same place. And so I said, I admire you. I wish I were more like you. I want you to be my friend, and we're going to have to be intentional about it because we don't move in the same circles. And so we're going to have to eat meals in each other's homes. We're going to have to do things together. And she kind of looked at me kind of funny and she says, okay, this is okay. All right. This is a little, out of the norm. And I wanted my children to see me living a life that included all types of people, everybody, because you can say, love your neighbor, love your neighbor, love your neighbor, love your neighbor. But if you're not actively living that, and the same for Cassandra in her life. And if she's not actively living that, it's all just words. And we, with another group of women, all really became friends. And I don't see them every day because we're all busy. But if I called and I were in need, and when anything goes down with me, if I have a broker open, if I have surgery, if I have anything blow up in my life, if I have anything happy, anything good, the first person that's there is Cassandra Bell Warren every single time. And I can't say that for everybody in my life, but she's there. I feel more connected to her than I do the majority of the people I've ever known. I have so much respect for her. And we were both willing to step out of our normal types of relationships to say, maybe there's something here. Maybe there's something bigger that we can do together. And we went through the process of her. We come from some similar beginnings, and we went through the process of her. Can I be president? Yes, you can be president. And I got to walk that path with her and practice her speech with her. And I got to sit with her while she waited to find out. I'm still to this day honored that I got to sit with her when she was waiting to find out if she would be the second female African-American president of MAR in 100 years. And I got to share that moment with her. It's a gift that on my last day, it'll be one of those things that I put up there that, that I was included, that she included me. Anyway, and she lost her mother through that, like shortly after. Her mom was battling cancer while she was president. And if you put her up there in front of a group of people, you wouldn't know it about her. She was strong, and she had to be strong at that time in our world. It was COVID. There was so much going on, and anybody would have been intimidated to be in her spot. And she didn't. She stood up there every single day for every other little girl in South Memphis watching her and said, you can do this. You can be me. Like, don't be limited by where you're sitting right now. And it's people like Cassandra that make people like me think I can do it, that think I can go from a tobacco field to running a real estate company that, in our first year did $115 million. Cassandra is the kind of woman I want to be when I grow up.
Well, the firm turns one. I love these people all the way down to the bottom of my soul. This has been the hardest, most beautiful year of my life. The people at this company are the best parts of me. They have proven to me that there's more than just one way to have happily ever after. I'm so proud of what we've created. Can't wait to see year two, unquote. What has this awesome wild ride that you just said $115 million in your first year? What's this been like for you?
It's been crazy. And it's been unpredictable. What we thought we would do and be when we started, we are so different than that now. Mike Parker and John Dickens joined our company and added the much needed testosterone. And they are such high level producers, high level thinkers, such hard workers, that it elevated our game, and we had to think differently. Now I know the way I do things, and a lot of the girls in our office, we're all very similar, but you add the mix of the boys and what they bring to the table. And we had to say, wait, this is not what we look like anymore. We have to change. And so we have changed and pivoted and changed and morphed and molded. But the thing I love about our company is we stay open. We are not locked into any type of company. We just know that we don't have to do it the standard way. We don't have to do it the way it's always been done. And so everybody makes decisions in our company. We all set the tone for what the firm is. I could have never guessed last July, not this, but the previous July, that this October going in would look like it does. It's more than I thought. It's bigger than I thought. It's better than I thought. I'm just finally starting to comprehend, though, that we haven't even gotten started yet, that we have just scratched the surface. And I like to say, oh, I'm sure it's all going to blow up, and, I'm going to have to give my house back to the bank, and we're never going to make it. And that's usually where I go. But even I can't do that now, looking at what we have and who I'm surrounded by in that company. I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to feel it. Like we have a lot ahead of us. We have a very big future coming at the firm, and it's just exciting.
I've known John for, I guess, close to 20 years. Such a fun guy and a nice guy. That video that him and Dane did together was really hilarious.
The Real Men Wear Pink one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't know John's silly side. He is literally like a brother to me. He and his wife, Rachel, I couldn't have done this last year without the two of them. They treat me like their family. They have me to their house for dinner when I'm alone. They've just been so good to me. And we are very silly, and we give each other a hard time. And as much as he hates it, he will admit, and he'll say, you can talk me into just about anything, including, for cancer awareness, talking to Dane as Real Men Wear Pink, John, into squeezing into a pair of pink underwear and, pulling him down to his ankles in a stall. That was a bold move on his part. And you would have to see the video to understand what I'm even talking about.
Right.
It sounds very risque, but it was all for a good cause. But John has a very silly side that he doesn't always let people see. And one of my missions in life is to show the world how funny he is, because he really is. He's a great guy.
So I saved the best for last. Your children, Maisen, Tate, and Billy. I believe Maisen, you says 24, Tate's 22, and Billy is 10.
Yeah.
And then there's your four-legged child, Mr. Pickles. I read something that you said to Billy on his 10th birthday this past April 14th that I want to share. Quote, "Thank you for loving me the way you do. Some days I'm the strong one, and some days you are. You teach me the importance of being present and forgive me when I fall short. You are a gift to me and anyone lucky enough to know you. Happy birthday, buddy." Unquote. Tell us a little bit about your kids.
My daughter Maisen is an ICU nurse. Maisen takes care of herself. She has always been a little adult. She's driven. You don't have to ask her. When she was younger, you wouldn't have to say, did you do your assignments? Are you keeping up? She has a plan. She sticks to it. She has boundaries for herself, which is something I know nothing about. She is so much smarter and wiser than I was at her age. I can't imagine her at my age and what she's going to do and who she's going to be, because she has such a head start in life. She's just a smart, beautiful girl. My son Tate is very much like me in a lot of ways. He's 22. He's an electrician. Barely got him out of high school. College wasn't his thing. He's an electrician with the union. And we just got an offer accepted on his first house at 22 years old.
Congratulations.
I can't even imagine. He's a hard worker, works 6 days a week, goes to school 2 nights a week, works 12-hour days. He's the only person that I look at and go, I feel like you probably work too much, buddy. I don't ever say that to anybody, and I say it to him. Billy the kid, my later in life baby, I had him when I was 38. I can't believe I get to have this kid, like, especially now in my life. I had dinner with a group of moms from his school the other day. And one of the moms, we were talking about Billy, and they said, he's the happiest kid, that like all the kids say, Billy's so happy, Billy's so happy. And one of the kids, I took him to Chicago for a concert and he missed Friday of school. And one of the kids said, it's just not any fun if Billy's not at school. It's really boring.
Oh,
And another mom piped up and said, oh yeah, everybody loves to be in class with Billy. He just makes everybody so happy. He really is the gift of happiness. And he's present. He's just an amazing little human being. And every time I'm with him and other people are with him, you just have to stop and say, okay, you just can't. He's like, Abby, you have to be happy when you're around Billy.
so, and I think you mentioned Chicago. I noticed that I was looking, you guys take several fun little trips together. You've done that before.
Yeah, he's 10, but he's like, he's like 37. He likes to eat at nice restaurants. He wants a good steak. He wants to look at the architecture in a city. He wants to go to concerts that we both enjoy. He likes nice hotels. He appreciates Uber Black in the cities that they have it. I mean, when I travel with him, it's like traveling with a friend. And we just have the best time. And so I've moved into this season in my life where that's a priority now, is traveling and doing things that make me happy with people that make me happy. And he's top of the list. We're just getting started with places we're going to go and things we're going to do.
Well, Shannan, he's a reflection of you. He's definitely a
Ah.
reflection of you. So that's wonderful. Tell us the most important lessons that you've learned in your life.
I would say, I don't know if I can even come up with like a list of them, but I'll just kind of come out with it as it comes to me. But figuring out who you really are, even the parts that aren't always what you wish you were. I came from very humble beginnings. I used to try to pretend like I didn't. I wanted to pretend like I went to the right school and knew the right people and was in a sorority. And I wanted to be that person because I thought that's what was acceptable to everybody else, and that's what people would want. And that's who they would want to do business with. And that's who they would want to be friends with. And when I finally got to a place in my life where I said, I am a girl from a very small town. I do like country music. I have some dirt road South Georgia girl in me, and that's okay. I'm not fancy. I know people have a certain idea of who they think I am and what I am. But until you really spend time with me, you don't know who that is. And with that in mind, I have also learned when I'm looking outward at other people and I see what's going on with them, I don't judge, because I don't know what their story is. I don't know what they're battling. I don't know where they came from. I don't know what they had to do to get to where they are. And so I just always give people a chance day after day, whether they're asking for it, whether they, by all accounts, deserve it. I think everybody deserves a chance, because you just don't know really what's in there until you give them that chance.
So how can people get a hold of you if they're interested in having you as their real estate agent?
You can find me on Instagram and send me a message. You can email me, Shannan@thefirmmemphis.com, and mine, it's SHANNAN @thefirmmemphis.com. And my cell phone number is everywhere, but it is 901-413-7318.
You're the epitome of strength and perseverance. Your drive and determination, despite the many obstacles that have been thrown at you from an early childhood to the present day, it just comes shining through. And it's no surprise to me that you're not only successful personally, but you're also a great leader. You set a great example for your wonderful team at the firm, and there's no doubt that the best is yet to come for you guys. And I really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you, Shannan.